if you have 10 hours to cut down a tree, then you should spend 9 of those hours sharpening your axe. So all these things that we've just spoken about and what we've also talked about throughout this presentation, they're all methods for you to sharpen your axe and become more effective at the work that you're doing. The reason why that is a recommendation is because if you if you do spend those 9 hours sharpening your axe, then it only will now take you 1 hour to cut down the tree rather than a whole 10 hours. But the other benefit, apart from it being significantly easier for you, is that your axe is still going to be sharp when it comes to you taking down the next tree and the next tree and the next. So taking the time to invest in laying good foundations now will pay dividends for the rest of your life. So the next most important thing on here is actually important and urgent. So that's the red herring where when somebody sees something as both important and urgent, they will often say this is where they need to put their time and energy. And in all honesty, most like relatively successful people spend most of their time there, and it's logical. Just to give you another indication as well, another bit of insight, the category just below it, the things that are not important but are urgent, they tend to actually be somebody else's to-do list. So if you think about all the things in your life that are quite urgent but don't move you towards your goal, they tend to be moving somebody else towards their goal, not yours. So they're often all the emails that you have in your inbox, all the text messages that you're getting, that last minute task that your boss asked you to do, etc. Like they tend to be someone else's to-do list. Whereas the things that are important and urgent tend to be your to-do list. They will move you towards your goal. They will move you towards where you want to be. However, the reason why the things that are important but not urgent matter most is actually not too dissimilar from the idea that Jane was sharing. What you'll find is that the things that fall into the category of important but not urgent tend to be the things that get ignored because they're not urgent. However, if you work on those tasks, they tend to actually have significant bigger shifts in your life towards your goal. I'm also going to quickly walk you through the method I like to use for people in terms of goal setting, and it's called the exact method. Similar to SMART targets or SMART goal setting, but just a million times better. The reason I say that is because if SMART goal setting worked, then people wouldn't need coaches, but they don't. So here I am. So the first letter in exact means explicit. So whenever you're setting your goals or your tasks, and once again, it might be easier to wait till I've gone through all of these and you can just screenshot it at the end, is be really clear on this in as few words as possible, say what it is that you want to achieve. Then once you've written that down, then you can take the time to ask yourself, does this goal or task, is it actually exciting to me? And if it isn't exciting to me right now, ask yourself the question, how can I reword this or rework this goal until it is exciting? And for people when I've worked with them in the past, that might sometimes mean adding a deadline. It might mean adding a reward at the end. There's lots of things. What you find exciting will be different, but rework the task until it is exciting. A stands for accessible, so make sure it's measurable. That is something that is useful from SMART targets. But here's another key one is once you've got it in this point where it's accessible and exciting and clear, is it something that challenges you? Does it stretch you? And if the answer is no, then once again, rework that same task until it is something that you will find challenging. And then lastly, add the time-bound element to it. You don't have to do it in the order that is laid out. When I work with people, I do often find that making it explicit first is helpful, then making it challenging, then making it exciting, and then making it measurable, and then adding the time frame. That's the order that I tend to do with people, but you can approach it in any order. The concept behind this is that your brain is rubbish at retaining information. It's just not designed to do that very well. However, it is fantastic at processing and creativity. So the simple solution is to take away the task of retaining information from your brain as much as possible. What does that look like? It means have a to-do list. As soon as a task comes to mind, something that you have to do, write it down. Don't try and keep it in your head. It's the worst thing you can do. And your brain is a lot more similar to a computer than you might think. The way that you will have, if you open lots and lots of tabs in your web browser, your computer is going to run slower. Your brain is similar. have lots and lots of tasks that you're trying to retain in there, you're going to become less effective with your ability to process information. So write it down and write it down somewhere that you trust, you will not lose it and you'll come back to, and it will improve your effectiveness. Ideally, keep all your tasks in the same place so you don't have to hunt them down. So don't have a million to-do lists in lots of different places. And if it's time sensitive, then note the date down as well. And bonus points for adding to your calendar. And then, of course, once you do actually have that task written down, it is really important that you tick them off, simply because like dopamine runs us as human beings. Like you will get a dopamine rush, and that will encourage you to continue to be more productive. We got there is my favorite quote, which is to remember the best way for you to be able to predict your future is for you to invent it. How you speak to yourself in the moments when no one else is there, when it's just you, like your shower thoughts or getting ready for bed, etc., really matters. And if you can change how you talk to yourself to be way more compassionate, then what you'll realize is that the moments like this where you don't get it right, or where you're going to make mistakes, or you've fallen short, or it wasn't quite perfect, they become significantly easier. I almost think of it as if you was talking to like a younger sibling or a younger cousin or someone of that nature. Like if they asked you that same question in terms of like, oh, I missed the time I wanted to go to bed, like what would you say to them? And yeah, you'd give them practical advice, but you would do that in a very loving and compassionate way. But what I find after I've worked with thousands of people at this point, and what I find, especially of high achievers, they are often quite negative in how they speak to themselves, and very critical. And being realistic and reflective is good, but being negative is not. So being able to cultivate a deeper sense of love and compassion for yourself will help with that and everything else across the board. It's one of the best things you can do.